Hi there, Glocal Citizens. Welcome back to the podcast that inspires a borderless mindset around manifesting a new world. I am your host, Florence Adu, coming to you from a beautiful, lovely Nairobi afternoon. I'm so excited, folks. I'm here. I'm loving it. It's beautiful. It's like the kind of summer that one just imagines and dreams of. So I'm right in my element. So I'm here for a while, and I'm happy to be launching the first in a series of conversations that are taking place in a content partnership between Glocal Citizens and Black women in real estate. And so this is just something that's going to be taking place over the course of the year. We'll be talking to Black women in real estate from across the globe. And I think you all know that real estate is something that's also near and dear to my heart, as that is my first profession. And so these are just going to be some really exciting conversations. So let me get started with the bio of our kickoff guest, and then we'll get into the conversation. She is founder of Mood and Space, Mass, as well as Black Women in Real Estate. And as a planning and development surveyor and trained architect, she is passionate about the built environment and ensuring that people come first in the process. In her most recent role prior to setting up Mass, she was a development director at Balfour Beatty Investments, seconded into Eastwick and Sweetwater Limited, a joint venture with Places for People. She led on the feasibility, business planning, budget, design, programming, and planning of the mixed-use regeneration project of approximately 1,900 homes on the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park. Woohoo! That's the kind of thing we're talking about here, folks. Impact. She has also worked on other notable projects in London, including Hallsville Quarter in Canning Town and Borough Triangle in Elephant and Castle. And you're going to learn much more about some of her other endeavors in our conversation. Hanna, Afolabi, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm super jealous that you are currently in Nairobi. I was just looking at your skin glowing, and now I'm like, I know, fully understand.
Yeah, I try to keep it quiet because my people in New York are like, it's freezing. I'm like, I'm just going to shut my mouth and just be happy.
I'm enjoying this heat.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. All right. So let's jump right in. Let's get started. Where are you from? Where are you local? And what is your craft?
Okay, so I am born and raised Londoner. So born and raised in the UK. When people say in the UK, where you from, it always like, where you from, if that makes sense. So I am born and raised London, but my family background is Nigerian. So from I'm Nigerian but British. And that's where I'm based in London, East London to be precise. My craft, I specialize in large scale regeneration and residential housing mostly in London. I've worked in the sector for over 14 years now and have worked on a number of projects. I did a math, and I've worked on nearly 10,000 homes in my in my career to date, and increasing. Yeah, so that's my kind of day job craft. And then the other thing I do is I support Black women who work within real estate through my organization called Black Women in Real Estate. And we are all about elevating Black women. And that looks like retaining and increasing the number of women in the sector. And I think we're doing a fabulous job. But yeah, as always, there's always more to be done.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So here on this podcast, we like to know a little bit more about your local and your from. So you said Nigeria, from.
Yes.
So we know all about Nigeria. So tell us what your from in Nigeria is, and then where your East London is.
So from in Nigeria is Osun State. So my parents come from a town called Okeila, which is southwest Nigeria and is very much Yoruba. My husband, I married a Nigerian as well. His family are from Epe in Lagos State. So we like to go back regularly and go around Nigeria, visit family, and just kind of like get back to kind of feeling rooted. My local in the UK, like I said, East London to be precise. I grew up in Hackney, and not the gentrified Hackney, but like Hackney when back in the day Hackney, and now currently live in Stratford, which is not too far from Hackney. But again, it's probably a gentrified version of what Stratford used to be.
Right. And Hackney is like a melting pot of the African diaspora, as far as my memory of is.
Oh, yeah.
Or back in the day. Yes. Back in the day. So when I hear people that say Hackney, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember Ghanaians, Nigerians, Portuguese,
Yes.
like, well, not Portuguese, Guineans. Yeah.
Yeah. So where I grew up on a council estate in Hackney, and so in Haggerston specifically. And we had obviously Nigerians, Ghanaians, Angolans, Ghanaians. Did I say Ghanaians already? People from Zimbabwe. Yeah, you had basically like mostly East and West Africa, Cameroonians and stuff like, and people from Benin, literally
Everywhere.
everyone.
Yeah.
Not everyone, but like West and East and Southeast kind of was a standard, you know, and you had other nationalities. So growing up, I was so used to being around people from different nationalities. Like one of my best friends was Vietnamese. Yeah. I had friends from like Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, China, like Turkey, like literally a bit of
everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah.
It's like you traveled the world before stepping out of the UK.
Yeah, basically. And actually my primary school was really good for like celebrating all of the different traditions as well. So you like, you know, you had Diwali, you had Chinese New Year, with like when it was Eid for Ramadan, we'll celebrate with the Muslim community as well. So it was like a kind of a massive melting pot of everyone, really. Yeah. So that was great. That was actually really cool experience, like culturally, for sure.
And I'm sure it has contributed to how you think about planning for regeneration, right? So let's take a step back. Let's understand you grew up in this very mixed community and you went off to university. And so how did you find yourself in architecture and in planning and loving the built environment?
Yeah. So one of the things that my dad taught us to do really early on was like read and consume books. And actually it was like one of my parents' evenings, the teacher was like, I need to improve my reading. So my dad was like, you have to read. So I was like reading like all the time. And I came across this book and it was like the protagonist was an architect / property developer. And I was like, she sounds so cool. I want to be her.
Wow.
You know, like that's who I want to be. And so I was like, Daddy, I want to be an architect. And he was like, okay. He had like no idea how to go about doing it. He was like, okay, well, let's like do some research. And then I kind of like just went about at school picking subjects that kind of related to design and technology and graphics and like math. And like I was pretty decent at maths as well. So I then kind of like decided to study that at university. And I ended up at a university called University of Sheffield up north. If you know London, the UK, Sheffield is extremely not diverse. Yes. So I've gone from like growing up around like so many people from so many different backgrounds and being welcomed into their homes, etc., to like basically just feeling a bit like out at sea with just like, it was just really white middle class people on my course as well. So that was an experience. And I think that did challenge like how much I was gaining from the course and how much I thought the profession was for me. But at some point, so after my part one, I went and worked in Lagos, Nigeria for a year, just under a year, at an architectural practice. But the way they do it is like they're the project managers and the architects. And although I didn't mind the drawing, I wasn't in love with like doing all of the detailed drawings. I really, really enjoyed being on site. I really liked seeing concrete being poured. I really liked climbing up scaffolding. And that was like, okay, this is my career. Like, this is the part of the job that I really enjoyed doing. And so when I came back to the UK, I just like pursued roles in like that kind of project management, development management like space. And I was lucky to like land a really great job at an organization called Peabody. And that kind of was like at least my UK journey start in the property sector here. And I haven't really gone back to doing architecture. And I have literally no desire to become a qualified architect. But I love buildings and I appreciate what they do. And I love working with them as individuals. I just don't want to ever have to like do the drawings
Yeah,
myself.
I hear you. I hear you. I heard that. I'm not an architect, but I too have that passion for seeing something come from nothing or seeing a total transformation of what it was to what is usable by people. So let me ask you this. You said you went to Nigeria and I think it was short term, but given that you have this kind of global heritage, why the where? How did you come to be living and working back in the UK, and how did you select Stratford?
The stint in Nigeria was always going to be short term. I actually really needed that time. Like, it's almost like going from like being so different, like as in being like your identity being kind of like so different from everyone else around you, the way you think, the way you talk, being so different, as in Sheffield University, to being put in the middle of like one of the busiest cities in the world. Everyone is Black, everyone is like comes from some form of like, you have some form of connection with where they're coming from. And that experience also, like the hustle and bustle of Lagos is like unmatched. Like, everyone is entrepreneurial. Everyone's got 2 or 3 or 4 jobs. Like, the gay man has like, he's doing suits and he's a driver. Do you know what I mean? He's like, yeah. And so the energy is like insane. And I think I just needed that poured back into me before coming back into the UK. And I think it brought me back here feeling super confident about my identity.
I love that.
It made me approach work, as in also still working with majority white people, with actually I deserve to be here, you know, which you kind of lose when you're like in a sea. And sometimes as like part of the diaspora, you kind of lose yourself in the noise of what the Western society defines us as. Whereas that's actually not our reality at all. And then so Stratford, funnily enough, when I got married, I've lived in East London, like outside of university, I've lived in East London my whole life. And so when I got married, I moved briefly to Northwest London, a place called Cricklewood. And we were saving, so I was like, fine, I'll do it. But it was not, it's just
very
not
different.
my place.
Yeah,
it's like
different.
not where my people are. And it's like literally like 45 minutes away from where we are now. But it was just like not like where I wanted to be. So we set out on this like massive journey to find a home that we could buy and we can like make our home. And that's kind of how we landed in Stratford. But at this that similar time, I was working in Stratford on Eastwick and Sweetwater. And I knew the area was going to like do so well. So I'm walking distance from the Olympic Park where we live now. And so like as an investment, the area is doing well, like amazing. It's like, obviously it's got the London Stadium, but it's got a new cultural quarter. BBC's there, South Wales. They have some really great parks, a really great mall, really great transport links. So that's how we've come to be in Stratford, and that's currently our home.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I love how that journey helped you to step forward as yourself, right? Because we do get lost in, particularly not only is it a very, in the UK in particular, property, real estate is a very white sector, white industry. It's also very male dominated. And so tell us how then working on projects, being in the field gave you the epiphany to found a support group, a group for women to uplift women, Black women in real estate. How did that strike you, and what was the process like?
So when I was working, again, it was at Eastwick and Sweetwater. So when I was at Balfour Beatty in the joint venture, I was based on site. So I was based in Stratford, not living too far away, but the site I was on was also the construction site compound. And again, construction is majority male. And so you'll come to site and they'll be like,
why are you here?
I don't know.
And this, yeah.
They'll just, you'll get the stairs and stuff. But we were also developing an area I grew up. So part of the site was in Hackney and Tower Hamlets. And I went to secondary school in Tower Hamlets and I grew up in Hackney. And my church was CPO'd as part of the site that I was working on. And so
wait,
when
can I stop you there?
like,
For our listeners who are not familiar with some of the real estate terms, tell us what the CPO, that's eminent domain.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
Yeah.
compulsory purchase order. So it's when the government can use its powers to effectively take land for development. They could purchase it. They'll purchase it, but you have no choice in the matter but to sell and give up that piece of land for the purposes of development. And there's a legal mechanism to do that. And so that's what they did for the Olympic Park. So there were a number of sites that weren't within their ownership, that for the land assembly of the area that was the Olympic Park, they had to acquire land from willing and unwilling parties. And my church was one of the unwilling parties who had to sell their land. And so as a result, like, I was really excited to work on this project, but like coming into a construction site every day and knowing what the diversity of the area looks like and doing community engagement with effectively middle-class white artists didn't feel right to me. So there's a frustration I had with just how like generally it was like the community engagement was being approached for the scheme, and the kind of like narrative that there wasn't a community that existed prior to the Olympics and the lack of benefit they were getting from the development. But also personally for my career, there was just like a question mark now. Like, I had recently gotten my Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors accreditation, and I was like, okay, well, I need to now plan the next 5 years of my career. And you look left, you look right, you look up, and there aren't any Black women. There's some Black people for sure, but there aren't any Black women. So now I'm like, okay, well, who am I modeling my career off of, one? And who's going to help me get there? And the thing that you notice, like, that I find, so a slight side note, but this might sound controversial, but I genuinely really enjoy watching white men. And the reason I say this is the level of audacity that they have. And I want to learn that audacity for myself.
Okay.
Like,
I hear you.
Like watching them, like, especially when they're so mediocre and they still have that audacity. Like, I really enjoy, like, how? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just such a, I really enjoy it. I really, really, really do. Because actually I learned so much from that kind of like bravado. Like, so I'm practicing audacity is like the thing that I can continue to remind myself that you just have to put yourself in those uncomfortable situations. The thing they have is, apart from the audacity, is they have the network. And because they have the audacity, they have the network. And the network, especially in real estate, as you would know, is literally your gold dust. Like, you can be okay and be great at technical stuff, but that would only take you so far. Like, it is who you know, what their cachet is, and how much they're going to push for you or sponsor you when you need that. And I didn't have that. Like, I had colleagues who had gone to school with the right people and they can call up friends here or there. I just didn't have that. And so I went and thought, okay, well, I'm going to set up a network that enabled me to have that selfishly. And so I reached out to 15 women on LinkedIn. We had dinner, and that was the establishment of Black women in real estate. But the dinner was so powerful, like seeing all of these amazing women at different levels in their career, like hugged everyone on arrival. We all had a really great chat, didn't want to end the evening, went to the pub after the restaurant closed. And we were like, okay, how do we keep this going? Set up a WhatsApp group. So it started really informally, and it just kind of snowballed and snowballed and snowballed. And now we're at a place where we've got 1,300 plus members. We've established a New York branch. We're working with some of the largest organizations within property. We partner with some of the largest conferences within property. Yeah, like, we are actually creating a space where Black women have a platform and are seen, not just as Black women, but as actual professionals within the industry. And I can call people up. I know of people from most organizations across the industry now and can connect them with certain people. But the benefit is also I've been now sat in front of CEOs and have relationship with CEOs that I wouldn't otherwise have had. So that's kind of like why we got to, like, how it started and how we got to where we are, is that galvanization of like just joint effort to move ourselves forward.
So in the range of your entrepreneurial self, right? Did Black Women in Real Estate happen as you were venturing out into your own? or before? So tell us where in the timeline Black Women in Real Estate happened, and then tell us about your how it is now being an entrepreneur. Mood and Space, it's all you.
Yeah. So we set up in 2019 for Black Women in Real Estate. That was the first time we kind of like established. And I then set up Mood and Space Mass on my own in the summer of 2022. And so, yeah, Black Women in Real Estate came first, right? And in that time, I would say, and one of the best things about the community is like, they will big you up, man. Like I was I got promoted, salary increase, like in the time that, I was like, I remember saying, look, they've just fired my boss. What do you guys think I should do? And they're like, take the job, and I was like, okay, bet I'm going to go get this job. And like, I got the job and it was like really great. But then after a while, like I got to a point where I was like, actually, I want to do something different. And that's where Mood and Space came about. And at that time, I had already kind of started like working. We started like going from an informal to a more formal structure for Black women in real estate. And I had like established a really good network. So I was kind of like ready to back myself, if that makes sense. And so with Mood and Space, even before I left work, I had my first client. And thankfully, I've had really great relationships and long-term clients since 2022. So I've been super fortunate, and I've expanded and contracted depending on the workload. But yeah, it's been a really, really great journey I would say, as an entrepreneur of like consulting for some of these firms, utilizing my skill set for work in that way. So yeah, it's been really, really good. And also another way to like expand my network and my reach, for sure. And it gave me the freedom to speak freely about what Black women in real estate can and can't be, and what I'm talking about on stages. I was already doing speaking engagements before I left, but I had to go through like media and comms every time I wanted to accept something. Whereas now I have the freedom to choose what I want to discuss, like how I want to position myself, all my opinions about the industry more broadly, not just from Black women in real estate, but also professionally. And it has also given me the opportunity to shape what my specialism is, and my brand. Yeah. So it's been a really great, now, like on this end of it, I really struggle with the idea of going back into like employment. Maybe in the future, if I'm just like get tired of the hustle, but as of today and who I am, like I just don't necessarily see that happening. I'm just like really enjoying the ability to shape my passions how I want to.
I love that. So when you think about the projects that you gravitate towards most and that you enjoy most, where are those projects? What are the features of those projects that you're like, yeah, this is what I really like doing. This is where I excel the most in this property space.
Oh, such a good question. So the place where I feel most in the flow, I would say, is usually when I'm trying to solve delivery issues, like unlocking problems for the delivery of homes. Like my specialism is kind of like mixed use regeneration and large scale regeneration or development strategy. And that requires thinking like not just what you're doing today or tomorrow, but like a long-term vision, and actually how you enable flexibility in the provision and delivery of these properties. The reason I like homes so much is that it's complicated, it's heavily regulated, but it has to fit with other use classes. Do you know what I mean? So you have to think about what else needs to be there for community to thrive. Like you can't just be boxes and can't just be beds, but how do you ensure that like this place is active and is actually a usable community, obviously within the constraints of regulation and policy? So I really, really enjoy that. But also, especially now in the UK, residential is very like, to be fair, the wider market is in a slowdown, but residential specifically is struggling, and construction inflation is high. And so how you start to like create this puzzle of much needed delivery. So a couple of my clients are local authorities, and they like, it's how do you enable them to continue to deliver the affordable housing or the affordable homes they need for people on their housing waiting list when the private market aren't like engaged in delivering residential in the same way? And how do you solve that problem? And really interesting ways to do that with private funding and financing. So yeah, so those are some of the things that I really think just makes me feel in flow with what I'm doing. And it's like setting strategy. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of my economic development days, really looking at like, how do you plan a community? What are the usability factors? Are there parks? Where are the schools? Like it's master planning at its best with people at the heart. So I want to put a pin on that line of conversation and come back to it a little bit, but I want to ask you about Glocal Speak. So this is a word or phrase or saying that's a meaningful part of your local experience and why or how you come to value it as Glocal Speak.
So I was really like thinking about this because I was like, my local is so kind of a bit pepper potted. And the one that just like popped up in my head was the phrase was, does she have two heads? And so my dad, yeah, it's like my dad used to say this in the context of if someone got an A and you've gotten a B grade, he'll be like, and then he'll say, why did you only get a B? And then I would like come up with an excuse. And he was like, well, the person who got an A, does she have two heads? Is she like, does she like, do you know, like, it's like saying, is that person, what has this person got that you don't have? Do you know what I mean? Like, she's a human being as well. If she can get an A, you can get an A. Me and my sisters always talk about like how much my dad definitely pushed us in terms of like what next, and like how it was like what next in terms of always thinking about the next thing, the next opportunity, next achievement, but also like making sure we didn't think anyone was any better than us in terms of their levels of achievement. So it was like that saying has stuck with me. If he can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing that actually stopping me from achieving these goals. So yeah, that was the Glocal phrase. And the thing is, like, I feel like Nigerian diaspora would definitely have heard this a few times.
I was going to say, it's like, that's a local from here.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, yeah, that's a phrase that I feel like also kind of sets about some of my mindsets to where I am and why I do, how I do what I do kind of thing.
Okay, so going back to the property concept and property conversation and Black women in real estate, you know, a lot of people think of real estate as just buying a home, potentially renting a home, that type of thing. So in your work with Black women in real estate and with Black women in general and Black families, how do you see expanding what that value proposition is for Black people in real estate and Black women, but also Black families in general?
I think the idea of property and the idea of land is like it's so interesting when you have conversation with people what it means to different people. Like for me, obviously coming from the element of profession, like I understand that it's a financial tool, right? It's an opportunity to create real wealth for yourself, for your family more broadly. I think property for other people and maybe some more people within our community is shelter. So a lot of people look at it as especially in the West, I would say for black people in the West, is I just needed somewhere to lay my head. I need somewhere to put a roof over my head to ensure my kids are safe. But it doesn't necessarily mean ownership, and it doesn't mean wealth. And it's a lost opportunity where you don't see that your home or land and or property can unlock financial freedom for yourselves or for you. And that's something that we as a community have not learned specifically enough about the opportunity to unlock wealth. It doesn't have to be from your own home, but it can be from other people's properties. And it can be from other property, like commercial property. Or it could be from actual land, like farming land or industrial land, like ways to utilize that property as a means for income generation is not something we talk about enough more broadly and not educate ourselves on. The other part is like from a profession perspective, we don't see property as a clear profession route to, again, wealth creation. And I know millionaires who have worked their 9 to 5 employment jobs, worked their way up, and are now millionaires within real estate jobs. It's not like they've set up a business and they're entrepreneurial or anything like that. They're not say just, but they've worked their way up the ladder and are now millionaires. And I'm not saying the CEO of companies, I'm saying a couple of rungs down from that. And again, this is a lack of education piece. Like, I think we will broadly think that you have to set up your own business and that's the only way to make money. Like, there's so many ways within the profession of real estate to make money, but within land to make money that we need to unlock further. And so through us as a community, one of the things we tend to do is talk about like financial and wealth management. And we've had sessions where we bring in a financial advisor to come in and talk about how to manage your money or ways to get property and in the most tax efficient structures and ways, because that's how you further people and actually how people start to have more of a voice over the communities and the areas that are being created. I think the biggest issue I find in the way we approach as a community, in the way we approach our homes, is because we're only looking at it as shelter, we're not thinking about the rights we have associated with that and where it stays. And I'll give you an example. I was doing a community engagement recently and we did it in one area that was affluent, majority white. And it was like a sports hall effectively on this piece of green field. 100 people came out at 4 p.m. Mostly white, middle-aged, middle-class people came galvanized to object against the loss of their community facility. It's not their home. It's not their house. It's not their investment. It's a community facility that's owned by the local authority. And 100 people came out to object and then followed up with emails from the same 100 people to clarify that they object to that. Now, the local authority are going to struggle politically to deliver that, at least in the next few years, right? So they were galvanized. Now we went to another area, similar issue, right? There's a loss of, this one's actually a loss of like existing homes for the redevelopment of more housing. It's needed, but it's a loss of homes. 14 people came, not necessarily people who lived there, to talk about like the impact on the wider community. Only 14. And this was pepper potted between 4 and 7 p.m. And what I'm trying to demonstrate is that one was a majority white area, middle class. The other one was a majority ethnic minority background area, people from either working class and or who benefit from, who might have some government support. Yet they don't understand how to galvanize and organize themselves and their rights around their home, because I mean their home is their shelter, etc. But they don't actually get the implication or the impact it's going to have on them. Whereas these people who is not their house, but obviously they've made an investment in the area, want to keep that area as is, know how to organize and exercise their power. What we need to do as a community is improve on how we exercise our power, how we come together to exercise our power around our communities, our lived experience, our ownership. And only when you buy into an area and invest in an area and invest in a community can you come together and make a change and use your voice to stop something from happening to you, or stop something that you don't like. Whereas the gentrification of areas have been mostly like lower income, ethnic minority background areas where people don't galvanize themselves enough to stop political agendas. And I just think we need to, there's just so much more education around our rights, like what land can do for us, what property can do for us, what property careers can do for us, that I think we're just at the beginning of that process with Black women in real estate as professions. And there's a long way to go, but it's at least we're at the start of that and how we can start to change those conversations.
I mean, you've hit it on the nose. It is this ownership paradox, right? So those who feel like they own it, feel like they can speak, and those who feel like they're not entitled or that something else might be in jeopardy, they're silenced. And a lot of the way the world is moving is trying to support that kind of work. So that's why I love what you mentioned, that the Black Women in Real Estate Project mission, vision is all about. And so speaking of service, because that's kind of what you're alluding to, you are on some boards. So tell us about how service also interplays into you and your work and your personal interests?
I mean, so I'm on the board of architectural practice called Studio West, and I'm also on the advisory board for property magazine called Estates Gazette. And I just believe that if you are going to walk the talk, you have to actually like hold these positions of power and show people how they can also get those roles and those positions. So my idea of service is like making sure I'm in spaces where I have some form of level of influence, but actually also demonstrating how other people can get to those spaces that they can have that kind of form of influence. And I think that's really, really important because you really can't be what you can't see. And you also don't know what you don't know. And so if you know these opportunities exist for you, I think you're in much better position to go out and like try and get these roles or try and be in places where you can influence and support organizations to be more diverse, to support their employees, you know, for their business decisions. But for the property magazine, it's actually really important about what information and how they're portraying people within the industry and how you can like utilize your voice to ensure that it's capturing everyone's experiences and not just kind of like a certain group of people's experiences.
Yeah. Speaking of, how do you hack your mindset? How do you hack in, flip the switch? What do you do? What's your mindset hack?
I think it was probably my dad's voice in my inner child saying, "Does he have two heads? Does she have two heads?"
Yeah.
No, I think I have so I have four sisters and I'm super, super grateful to them because they are my cheerleaders and the people who check me the most. Like, like, why would you ever say you can't do something? Try, you know what I mean? And then I guess like also my husband is super like a Nigerian and again, super audacious. And that actually also helps with like, not like you have to ask for what you want. You deserve to be in the room. You deserve like they can only say no, you know? And I think that's how, and it fundamentally is around like, firstly, your inner voice, but the community that you surround yourself with. And again, like with Black Women Real Estate, network is everything. It is your power. Like where I'm like feeling weak or feeling like questioning myself or like not sure about a certain thing, having the people around me who are going to like pick me back up and remind me of kind of my fundamentals and who I am, just like is what's needed to take me to the next level to get out of that kind of like funk. So I would say for sure community over everything. And then it's like just positive self-talk. You just have to continue to talk about yourself the way you're like, you want your man to talk about you. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like you
Yeah.
need to be that for you. And then finally, like I said, practicing audacity. That's like my like every time I'm like, oh, shit, I just I'm like, but
Yes.
yeah.
I mean, that is a gem. That is a pure gem because it is the truth. You know, when you look at it, it's like, yes, just do it. Because, you know, a lot of times it feels like a fake it till you make it kind of thing or that imposter syndrome business. But no, it's actually audacity. And
It
that
is
is the
audacity.
word. It's like being brave and being confident in your courage, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So where is Hanna in 5 years? What do you see for yourself and for your organizations and just what's new and next?
Yeah, it's such an exciting question. I think for Mood and Space, there's so many things that I still want to do, so many projects that like different types of projects I want to work on. And I see it as an organization us growing, adding more people to the organization and working on things that are slightly broader than residential, but are still fundamental in setting out what community can feel like. I've been in conversation with a couple of people internationally, so I'm excited to explore some more international work in Africa specifically. And yeah, I'm really excited about what that could mean in terms of going back and like utilizing my skill set in the
Giving back, yeah.
developing Africa.
Mm-hmm.
For Black women in real estate, I think we'll just continue to grow. Like this year, we're looking at like other kind of like networks, potentially in more of the UK, but potentially in Europe. We'll continue to grow our membership. I think one of the things we're focusing on this kind of like term is talent. And one of our kind of core objectives is to increase the number of Black women in the sector. And by ways of that, it sees that Black women in real estate as an organization and membership grows. But actually, it just means that more people can start to have a voice in shaping the built environment, which would just that's fundamentally why we exist. So in the next 5 years, really focusing on that and how we can establish more of the networks in other parts of the US, UK, and Europe.
Nice. I love that. Okay, so a quick flip of the switch. Okay. So we also like to know who Hanna is when she's not working in real estate and properties. So who are you? Are you a reader? Are you a watcher? Are you a listener? Or what other types of things do you do in your leisure time?
Outside of like work, I am a mother and wife. I really enjoy going for dinner with friends and having really deep chats. I love a good podcast and a book, a really good, like I'm actually doing more audiobook listening than reading, but I love a like good nonfiction that like makes me like change my mindset, you know? I love a good nonfiction. But I actually love watching TV. Like I love coming to the end of the day, like baby's bathed, like food's done. I have about an hour and a half. This is my wind down time. What sci-fi, like random drama show can I watch on like one of the subscriptions to just shut down before I go to bed? So that's kind of what I've been doing.
What have you watched lately?
Yeah. So recently I watched All Her Fault, which was really good.
Oh, okay.
I just watched the first 4. Yeah, it's good. That's good. I watched the first 4 episodes of Bridgerton. I've also recently watched His and Hers. So yeah, that's been really good. And then I think also travel. I love to travel. My husband and I took a year out of work and we traveled the world. Central South America and then Southeast Asia. And like every year we try and like add a new country to the list of places we go. We really, really love traveling. But yeah, those are some of my things.
Nice. I love it. Hanna, this has been so awesome. It's been really great getting to know more about you, getting deeper into this real estate conversation. And I so look forward to meeting more of your colleagues, your peers with this partnership with Black Women in Real Estate. And yeah, do you have any last thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners before we sign off?
Probably just keep practicing audacity.
Yeah.
That probably is the last thought. It's like, if you're not, start practicing audacity.
Yeah.
But no, thank you so much for having me. It's been so great. This conversation has been amazing. Looking forward to it coming out and the rest of the series and hearing what the other inspirational women will be saying. No, it's been really good. So thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. And I think you all have an event coming up soon, right?
We do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the UK, we have our International Women's Day event on the 5th of March. It's a banquet. This is the 4th year running. And each year we celebrate a trailblazer, rising star, and an ally. And it's just an opportunity to bring people from across the industry, especially our members, together to really like have a night for Black women. Because we found like historically International Women's Day was like not for all women, you know? It was like celebrating and like spotlighting like only a certain group of women, especially here in the UK. And we wanted to change that narrative. So we created a space for ourselves.
I love it. Awesome. So all that will be in the show notes. So the show notes will be very rich. And yeah, thank you so much, Hanna. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it was great.
Yeah. All right, Glocal Citizens, this has been another episode of the podcast. You can catch us Tuesdays with new episodes at glocalcitizenspod.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Please do like, share, subscribe, leave us a review. Check out the show notes. They'll be rich. You'll learn all about Black women in real estate, what's going on with Hanna and Moss. And, just stay involved. Until next time, bye for now.